Are you tired of racism?
Stesen berikutnya, Bukit Bintang.
Wouldn't life be great if we can just get rid of racists? Sounds too good to be true. Not when you have the Racisticide. Indians can rent places, Malays could get jobs without employers assuming they're lazy, and Chinese people wouldn't be blamed every single time politicians lose elections. And natives and orang aslis wouldn't be displaced and exploited. Malaysians would have equal rights. Call 1300-576666 and get your own bottle of Racisticide now. Spray macam kau spray nyamuk tu and hapuskan orang racist. Vanakkam, ni hao, assalamualaikum, what's up? Welcome to my new series, Discriminated, where we'll discuss different forms of discrimination in Malaysia. And what better way to start talking about this than discussing one of the biggest, if not the biggest form of discrimination in Malaysia? Racism!
Oh, jap. Before korang continue, make sure subscribe dulu. Dah, okay, jom sama tengok.
Let's talk about racism in Malaysia. A beautiful multiracial, multi-ethnic one Malaysia country where we're cool with celebrating each other's festivities but still get scandalized by interracial weddings. But if marry angmo can lah, very good, very nice. Upgrade auntie approved. Multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-racist. And when we do call out racism, we're often told to sit back down. Hey, budak-budak zaman sekarang ni sensitif sangat lah. Janganlah snowflake sangat. We're not as bad as some other countries, okay? Not that racist also. Some out there are straight up shooting people of other races. We still attend open houses during Raya, CNY, Christmas, Gawai, Deepavali. Okay, what? Per Article 153, we prefer Chinese tenants and employees. Malays are so lazy. Indians are gangsters. Am I right? And man, we love disguising our racism as a joke, one that no one is laughing at except other races. Or sometimes, just sometimes lah, we would call it a preference, which is funny because your preference cannot be racism, right? Especially if the preference is rooted in the belief that some people are better than others. Newsflash, that's racism. No need to sanitize it lah. You sanitize your hand enough, huh? I see you. You treat people like crap and think they're beneath you because of their race? You're racist. You think stereotypes exist for a reason? You're racist. You make and uphold policies that are partial to a particular race? You're racist. Okay, think of racism like a tree. It's green and growing because people have been fertilizing it with hate and discrimination for centuries, and its roots are strong and deep. But unlike the real old trees that make our flora and fauna so much richer and diverse, the tree of racism is toxic, parasitic, it's destroying lives and polluting earth. And this ugly gilababi tree of racism has branches. First branch, institutional racism. This is what people refer to when they say the system is set up against us. Racial quotas in housing, education, businesses, you name it, we got it. Racializing everything and anything to benefit one race over the others. And of course, constantly pointing out to minority races that they should be grateful they're allowed to exist, practice their faith, get education opportunities. Well, TLDR, korang faham lah isu-isu sensitif ni semua. Second branch, stereotypes. Melayu pemalas, korap. Cina semua ni kan kedekut, kaya pula tu, and then tak loyal. Tapi maths, alahai, kalau dah India, gangster lah, dirty so big. Tapi pandai speaking tau. Even what appears as positive stereotypes can have negative consequences on people. Like assuming all Chinese kids are good at maths, Indians are so good in English, and all Malays are so privileged, no one from their community needs any help. These assumptions might prevent people from getting the help that they need. There's a reason why we're not supposed to act on our stereotypes, kids. Third, and my favorite branch, colorism. Well, this one I think people from all races can relate to. It's quite universal, unfortunately. Must be fair-skinned. Sorry, your skin color not the right fit for us. It's honestly just being treated poorly or getting the worst assumed of you because you're dark-skinned. Dark-so must be stupid, dark-so must be dirty, dark-so cannot give job, dark-so cannot represent brands, dark-so cannot lah. Fourth branch, racial slurs. Cina babi, Keling, Sakai, Jakun. Makan babi tak jadi babi And Sakai and Jakun are names of some of the oldest ethnic groups in this country. Please don't defile history. Indians are like the 3D jobs of this country. Dirty, dangerous and difficult. Don't laugh, serious lah this one. When people see us, they very excitedly lock their doors, tail us because mana tahu lah, I might steal that bottle of sanitizer from the pharmacy. And landlords don't love the idea of renting out properties to us. Cause you know, we're all gangsters lah. If you rent to us, right, we will trash the house, won't pay rent, and then the worst of all the walls and furnitures will smell like curry. Ayyo. Landlords who say they don't want to rent houses to Indians and people of certain races, you are one step closer to winning the Racism Cup of 2021! Oh man, what can I say about our Malay brothers and sisters lah? It must be so confusing to be born with the privilege of being the majority race, have the upper hand in politics and constitutional rights, but also forced to live under the crushing weight of archaic rules and stereotypes. People just assume everything comes easily for you guys, and that isn't exactly the truth. Thanks to a slew of authority figures who are corrupt and also happen to be Malay, we just tend to assume the worst of Malays. Not cool, guys. Damn, I feel bad for you guys lah. Start your conversation about racism in Malaysia these days. People will band against Chinese people.
Alahai, Cina memang macam tu lah, kena quote racist.
Mandarin speakers only and Chinese landlords saying prefer Chinese only when renting out properties are probably two of the most common racist behaviors Chinese people are infamous for in Malaysia. I admit, it's not looking great, but I see you guys, bukan semua sama, and I know that. Guys, padahal, Chinese people also have to deal with a certain level of racism in this country.
Apa lagi orang Cina mau?
Cina mata sepit, easy, obsessed with money, selfish, oh my god. Such horrible qualities associated with the whole race. That's gotta hurt potentials and hearts and leave a lot of damage.
I mean, why talk about random people who live on trees?
Perangai kau macam Sakai, Jakun, betul kau ni? Tak pernah tengok iPhone baru ke?
The only times we mention them is when we use their native group names in derogatory fashion. Malaysia kan hanya ada 3 race, Melayu, Cina dan India. Yang lain-lain tu tak perlulah we worry about, dah panggil lain-lain kan? I wonder how painful it must feel to constantly be forgotten and ignored by your own people. It's like they and their struggles are invisible. They're like toys that we toss aside after using them once a year for Unity ads. And this is on top of having to deal with the lack of basic necessity, erasure of history, and displacement from their homes and lands. You see how each race is affected by varying degrees of racism on different aspects of life? It's almost impossible to escape racism. It will creep into your life one way or another. My ex-lecturer called me a Keling bodoh. I cried myself to sleep after. When I was 6 years old, I was called a black monster and that I should be avoided because people will get dirty if they don't. Someone ordered coffee and said that he wanted it to be the same color as my skin. He asked for a long black. How come your English so good? I'm a Malay, not Dr. Cina. Why are you not white for Chinese? Lucky your color didn't stick on me. Salespeople will shadow me or just won't layan me. Pendatang haram. Still think people aren't affected, broken and crushed by racism in Malaysia? That said, while we can't possibly compare different experiences of racism because they're all bad and shouldn't happen, we have to admit and accept that some minority groups will experience racism on a far higher level than the rest. I'm going to share with you my experience with racism growing up. As a child, I was made hyper aware of the fact that I am a dark-skinned Indian girl and that wasn't good enough. My classmates used to wipe things down after I had touched them. They wouldn't sit on my chair because I had sat on it because, you know, takut the blackness would get stuck on their skin. And it wasn't just me. There weren't many other dark-skinned Indian girls in the school, but siapa-siapa yang ada, they received the same treatment. And I didn't understand any of it. It made me crazy. I mean, I was a clean freak. My uniform was always starched, creaseless, shoes white 5 days a week. Yep, I was that kid. But even then, I was constantly conscious of myself. They made me feel like my skin color was something dirty, something that needed to be cleaned. But I couldn't. I would walk past and hear the word Keling all the time. And that joke, that isn't a joke to begin with, gelapnya, can only see your gigi. Honestly, I wasn't laughing when a lot of these things were said to me. And the stares and the nose crunches when I open my lunchbox on the day the food is Indian. Honestly, when I think about it now, I can't help but to wonder if the treatment would have been better if these kids weren't raised with so much animosity, lack of information, or misinformation. I mean, tak kenal maka tak cinta? And this racism, colorism, overall ill treatment continued throughout my school years. But my sister's experience, on the other hand, was slightly different. You see, she's fair-skinned. And when you're Indian and that fair, whoa, everyone else who's not Indian and also Indian will treat you like you're a prized possession, like you're the good, acceptable Indian. Look, I wouldn't say she didn't experience any racism at all, but it was lesser, different. She was more accepted, so it was easier for her to make friends, people didn't ostracize her or avoid her like COVID-19. And she was praised often because remember, she's better than the other Indians, prettier. Which is not exactly nice either because backhanded compliments aren't actually compliments. They're literally telling her that the race that she belongs to is not good enough. This is just one example of how sometimes skin color can cut through experiences of racism. Most often it's light skin, social standing, money of course makes a huge difference, but these things are like a little sampan, in the middle of a raging sea. The raging sea being racism and racists. So you can feel like you're safe, protected for a little bit, you won't drown right away, but at the end of the day, it's still you versus the sea. None of these little things, privileges that we have, that pushes people to treat us better despite our race, is actually real or genuine. Because at the end of the day, they still don't like our race, and we can't change our race. We can unlearn every single thing that we've learned. I mean, it's not natural for humans to be discriminatory. We are taught to discriminate, see color, and treat certain people who belong to certain races poorly. We didn't just pop out of our mother's vaginas racist. Moving forward, what we want authorities, politicians, and ordinary Malaysians to do is to be actively anti-racism and formulate policies and laws that protect everyone regardless of their race. So that could mean dismantling racial preferences in jobs and public universities so everyone can compete on the same turf. And to those who think Malays need a leg up in everything from jobs to education to succeed, stop it. You're undervaluing Malays and undermining their capability to succeed on their own. I'm offended on behalf of Malays. Criminalizing racial preferences in tenancy requirements. Fine for first offenders, community service for second offenders, and masuk jail for third and repeat offenders. Boom! Encouraging the masyarakat to have open conversations about the issues we face as communities and a country. Because a lot of us are still struggling with the same things. Jobs, housing, education. The only difference is to what degree. Preventing ridiculous lawsuits at the drop of a hat when someone questions systemic racism. Ade, shouldn't there be a threshold for things like this? Look, these are only suggestions and are meant to be taken as starting points. I'm sure a lot of people out there can come up with more and better solutions. Point is, we have to start somewhere because if we don't, the consequences will be dire for everyone and not just minorities. But they will be the ones most affected by racism, continuing to lose out in jobs, housing, and education. We have to fix this, otherwise we'll continue to blame each other and seethe at the injustices. We are not to blame for our upbringing, but we are to blame if we do not re-examine our upbringing as adults and change our ways for the better if need be. Let's be honest and kinder to one another, shall we?
Thank you for watching. Jangan lupa like, share and subscribe. Give follow Says Videos Instagram too. Enough lah I talk today. Okay, bye.